Hey, we're here on the site of the historic Shepherdstown Presbyterian Church, and it's my great pleasure to be here with Dan Conant from Solar Holler. Dan.
Hi.
Wonderful. Now he's working with us on several things, and not the least of which being set up our interface with grid alternatives and the fantastic journey that we had this week. So
awesome. Well, welcome to Shepherdstown. We are the oldest town in West Virginia. We're a great little community. And the reason we're standing outside of Shepherdstown Presbyterian today is the congregation here is a true leader in West Virginia for making solar happen, for making solar affordable, not just for the well-to-do, but for a church, which is usually the last place you would think of going solar.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little about that as we move. Now, this was your first solar project, am I right?
Yeah, this was Solar Holler's pilot project in West Virginia. A little bit about the church here. The congregation's been around since the 1740s. And the building here has been around since the 1830s. It was a hospital during the Civil War. Right across the Potomac River is Antietam battlefield, and all of the Confederate soldiers who were retreating across the river ended up in Shepherdstown, and they came to the Presbyterian Church here for shelter and care. And it's really a congregation with an amazing, rich history.
That's brilliant. What a great place to pilot some incredible solar programs. And tell us a little bit about the program that actually made solar on this church a possibility.
Yeah, what was incredible about this was that we were looking for a way to make solar possible for churches and nonprofits in West Virginia. You know, it's always been tough, and churches don't have any money, and all of the programs and tax credits and everything that make solar possible for homeowners and businesses don't apply to churches and nonprofits. So what we did here is, rather than asking the church to pay a ton of money up front or asking the congregation to put in to write checks, we developed a really cool crowdfunding program that had never been done anywhere in West Virginia or the country, for that matter. This was a first in the US type of thing. You can see up there, those are the solar panels. It's providing about half the power for the church. And the way we did this is, rather than asking people for checks, we had 100 families in town install a little remote control device on their electric water heater. And what that does is it allows us to avoid blackouts on the power grid. So all of these water heaters are turning on and off they'll turn on when there's too much power, they'll turn off when there's too little power, and as a result we have what really is a virtual power plant of water heaters across town hooked up. That
is remarkable, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as a dollars and cents way of looking at this project, you effectively got $55,000 worth of hardware installed in this church for $1.
Yep, so we had 100 families in town install these devices. Each one of those is earning $100 a year from the utility, and that is all going towards paying off the loans that we took out to cover the solar system.
Fantastic. Let's walk up here and talk a little bit about that community interface that's necessary for projects like this to actually work. Now, I understand you know the homeowners here, and they're associated with the deconstruction that Coalfield Development is doing right here in Shepherdstown. In fact, that's the first site that I showed you, and what I think was the first video that I've posted in reference to this project.
That's right. The homeowners here are Phil and Charlotte Bakershank. They own the property that Coalfield is working with, and they're also very involved with the Presbyterian Church here. So you can't see it right now, but back last August when we launched this project, this yard was filled with 150 people on a random weekday morning. We had the entire 4th and 5th grades from the Shepherdstown Elementary down for the occasion. We had probably half the congregation of the Presbyterian Church here to celebrate the ribbon cutting of what really was a groundbreaking project for the church and for West Virginia.
Now, when I started this video, I did use the term historic, and the church is actually within the historic district. The historic district runs right along this wall that our fellows are taking a break on after our long trip up to Baltimore. And it's so interesting. How do you install solar panels inside of a historic district and quote-unquote get away with it?
Well, we went through all the channels, we went through all the processes, and we got it approved. The way we did it is the the line for the historic district is actually in the parking lot right next to the church. So if you see this little wall right here on the other side of these trees, that's the line for the historic district. Well, funny enough, even though it's on a historic building in a historic district, you can't see the solar panels from within the historic district. So when we went to the historic commission, we said you can't see it. We got letters of support from both of the homeowners closest to the property, and we got it approved without really any fanfare.
That's brilliant. Well, it does denote some of the challenges that face developments like these. You know, it takes a community, it takes groups of people working together and coming together in agreement in order for these things to happen. And you always face challenges that you don't necessarily expect, but you're expected to plan for. And so Dan Conant's doing some really, really innovative work in the state. We're so happy to be involved with him on what I think will be a future full of solar developments for Solar, Holler, all of our partners, and Coalfield Development. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Deacon.
Mm-hmm.